Hey everyone, Zosi here. So I've been playing Arknights Endfield for the past week, and I've gone through the entire story. I'm level 48, and I wanted to make a video talking about the entirety of the game since I've spent a week playing it. So without further ado, let's get started on the story of the game. Also, this video is going to be unscripted, so it's going to be my raw emotions in the game. But yeah, the story. So Arknights Enfield's story is, honestly, it's nothing special. It's nothing to write home about. I do think that the presentation of the story was very nice. The models, the facial expressions, the cutscenes, everything was very top notch, very, very high end. It was great, honestly. Probably one of the best presented stories that I've seen in a gacha game, basically. I do think that Area 2's story does get a bit better, but again, it's nothing to write home about. I won't go in depth into the story here just because I want to avoid spoilers, but yeah, the story is just kind of, it's serviceable. It's nothing to write home about. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is the gameplay. So this is going to be separated into combat, exploration, and base building. So the combat, again, it's kind of nothing insane. It's pretty much you basic attack and then you use skills. One thing that is very nice and is very unique is that all of your characters are placed on the field. So a lot of these modern gacha games will have you quick swap or just kind of change into different characters, and you can only play as one singular character at a time. This game makes you have all of the characters in your party on the field, which is super refreshing. It's visually pleasing to see all of your characters like autoing and just doing a bunch of different things. The other thing that's really nice is the sort of combo system that they have. So whenever characters use like a skill or like do specific moves, you can sort of quick time event combo chain into other characters. So it feels really nice. It's visually pleasing. The ults look very nice, which, you know, you get ults by just, you know, using skills and basicing, but all of the animation for the ults look really nice. The combat flow feels really good. The dodging feels really nice. I do say that some of the animations of the enemies are kind of hard to see. That was the only problem that I had, is I can't really tell when enemies are attacking. They show like a red flash, but a lot of the times it was very difficult to see when they were actually doing their moves. But aside from that, the combat was fine. It wasn't anything amazing, like, oh my god, super spectacular. But it was nice to play, and I had, it's fun. I like playing the combat in this game. The next thing is going to be the exploration. So the exploration in Arknights Endfield it's good. I do think the areas are a little bit small. One way that they sort of compensated for the fact that the areas were small, where they made them, they basically made them very compact. So whenever you get to a chest or a puzzle, you can easily just go to the next chest or a puzzle without using an interactive map. Everything just kind of like flows very nicely, at least in my experience. The puzzles, though, are kind of easy. There's pretty much no variety in the puzzles. It's essentially just collect 3 little glowing tubes and then it unlocks like a chest, or follow butterflies and it unlocks a chest. It's not super insane. Comparing that to, you know, what is it called? Freaking Genshin. In Genshin, they have tons of different puzzle varieties. Each world has its own different puzzles. Wuthering Waves also has some pretty interesting puzzles. Yeah, it just kind of feels a bit lackluster puzzle-wise, creativity-wise, for the exploration. Another thing that I noticed is that there's no climbing. So honestly, at first it was kind of annoying that there was no climbing in the game. But after a while, you just kind of get used to it. Like, the game was, you know, surprise, surprise, the game was built around the game not climbing. But yeah, for the first couple of, like, probably the first hour or two, I kind of wanted to like climb stuff just because I'm so used to a lot of these open world games having climbing in there, you know, in the game. So The exploration as a whole was good. I do think they should try adding puzzles that are a little bit more unique than just having the same thing over and over again. But other than that, the exploration was fine. It was serviceable. Again, I wouldn't go out of my way to sort of play this game specifically like for the exploration. If you're like in an exploration, like you love exploration in these kinds of games, you're probably going to feel very kind of let down in terms of the puzzles, at least. The next thing that I want to talk about is the factories. So this is the one thing that Endfield has that other gacha games don't have, is the sort of factory system. I think the factory system is great. I think it's pretty easy to understand. Now, the reason I say it's pretty easy to understand is because there's lots of tutorials in the game, but I skipped all of them. And even with me skipping all of them, I was still able to understand how to do the base building. It's great. I love making bases. I'm not even like super into base building in these types of games, but it was just really fun. Everything sounds super great. All of the machines sound really, really good. The sound design just in the game overall is amazing. But when you're in your base, it's so nice to hear like the factory sounds and the machines kind of whirling as you make tons and tons of credits, basically. It's great. Honestly, they should keep pushing the factory stuff. I hope that they make more and more different types of factories and add new components, because there are tons and tons of components already in the factory that you can mess around with. The other thing that I really liked was that they had blueprints. So basically, it's kind of like a code that you can generate, and then people can use that code to place structures in their world through your blueprints. So it's really good for people that aren't super great at the factory part of the game. So you can just easily plop down giant factories very easily. Again, I would recommend that you do learn how to do the base building stuff, but yeah, you can easily get by without knowing like super complicated things about the factory stuff. So that is definitely like a key component of Endfield that I enjoyed, just because they talk about it so much. It's such a core part of the game. It's the most unique part of the game. I think they overall did a great job with the factory. So the last thing that I want to talk about is the gacha. So the gacha. The gacha system in Arknights Endfield is not the best. I'm going to be honest, it's not my favorite gacha system that I've played. So there are a couple things here that I've written down on why I don't like the gacha system in Endfield. One of the things that I don't like are the timed exclusive pulls on the limited banner. So what I mean by this is there are basically a second type of limited pull currency that you can get that can only be used on the current banner. So they basically expired limited pulls. I think they should just remove this entirely. Either they remove it or completely change it, because there's kind of no point in having this. Just give us pulls, which goes into my other topic. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is we don't have enough pulls in the game. So I've gone through the entire game pretty much. I haven't explored everything, but from what I went through, I was pretty much only able to guarantee one limited 6-star character, which is not a lot. So I'm really hoping that they either give us more currency, increase the flow at which we can get more currency, because currently the amount of currency that you can get is very, it requires you to grind a lot. Which isn't great, considering that a lot of these gacha games, when you start out, you know, they're supposed to shower you, or not supposed to, but they tend to shower you with tons and tons of pulls, because they want you to pull on the new characters that are coming out. But in this game, it just kind of feels like, I don't know, like a normal patch. If we're having sort of this limited amount of pulls from the very start, I can't imagine how the game would feel in the next patch when this isn't the, launch of the game, because typically, again, they shower you with pulls at the launch of the game. So that's kind of my biggest gripe, is give us more currency. I feel like there's not enough currency. Now, there are some good things about the gacha system. It's not just all negatives. So I do like that the weapon banner is pretty much free. So whenever you do pulls, you get a weapon banner currency, and you can use that currency for the weapon banner. And obviously, because you're doing pulls, it's air quotes free that you get that extra currency. Honestly, I like it. My only problem is that you can only get this currency by doing pulls. So if you're not doing pulls, if you're saving, which I am currently doing, you cannot get more pulls for the weapon banner. That's my only problem with it. I feel like it's very free to play friendly to get the currency, but because you're not constantly doing pulls, it's hard to get the currency. So it's like air quotes free to play friendly, sort of. It's just weird. I think they should just give us a way to get more weapon currency through different means alongside with getting weapons currency just by doing pulls, because I do like the system. The other thing that I really like about it is the fact that you actually don't need copies of characters. You actually don't need to get multiple copies of characters in this game, which is, it feels really nice, honestly. A lot of games have like unique passives tied behind some of their vertical progression, in terms of like, oh, you need to get a copy of this character and then you can make them last longer. Endfield has that, but the passives that you get from getting copies just doesn't seem worth it. So one of the things that I hope that they do is that they continue that trend. So this kind of ties in with not having enough currency. If the game doesn't give you enough currency, right? If it's not giving you enough currency, then that means hopefully if they intend to give us, if they want us to not have enough currency like this, if there's very small amounts of currency that they give out, I'm hoping that this means that when you do get a character, you can kind of use them forever, that the power creep in this game won't be that insane. That is wishful thinking, but that's kind of the only way I can see them justifying not giving us enough pulls. It's just that the power creep and the end game aren't hard enough that you need to pull on like every character. You just pull on your favorites and then you just play the game, and it's kind of just great, so I'm actually fine with that, but that's kind of, we've had no indication of that being the case. The game just started. There's no way that anybody can predict how the power creep will be progressing in this game. So yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts on the gacha system as a whole. Some of the things, some things I like about the gacha system are great, and then I think it's just more that I'm used to traditional like gachas. Maybe Endfield won't do the same thing as the other gacha games are doing, but only time will tell. So far, I'm still really enjoying the game. I don't know if you've noticed when I've talked about the story, the gameplay, the exploration, the combat, everything just kind of feels, it's good, it's okay, but the presentation is really nice. I feel like one of the things that I like about Arknights Endfield is the devs, at least this is how I feel in my mind. I feel like the game is, the best way that I can put it, the game is sort of like a circle. The game is sort of built around everything. It's not particularly great at anything, but because it has so many different things that you can do, and different things flow into each other. So, for example, just so I don't sound fucking crazy, the base building helps you build your characters, and then your characters can help you get pulls, and then the pulls, you get through overworld and exploration, and everything just kind of, the best way I can say it is that it kind of all feeds into each other. The game just feeds into each other through its different systems, so it feels very nice. Again, I wouldn't say that Arknights is like oh, it has amazing story and everything else is fine, or like amazing combat and everything else is fine. It's just sort of does good at everything. Like it is fine at everything. And then the entire, you know, experience kind of envelops you in, like, it gets you immersed basically, and like through all of its systems and all of its things. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. It's just a jack of all trades, but presented very nicely. I kind of just went on a ramble there, but that's kind of the best way I can describe the game. So if you're one of those people that only plays the game for the gameplay or only plays the game for the story, you're probably not going to stick to the game. You probably won't enjoy it as much as versus someone that does kind of everything in these kind of games. That's kind of the reason why I like it so much. I like variety. I love just doing everything in a game. So if you like that, and if you like the sci-fi aesthetic that Arknights is kind of bringing, you will probably really like the game, like a lot actually. But yeah, that's kind of all I had to say. Sorry, I kind of just rambled there at the end, but yeah, honestly, I'm probably going to keep playing this game. I don't see myself dropping the game anytime soon. And yeah, this game's great. Anyways, thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.